Hello and welcome to this question and answer session brought to you here on SUZA TV. You're going to be with me, Munir Mustafa, as we continue to answer questions based on biology. This time we're going to be looking at the Form 3 syllabus, whereby our main topic today is going to be excretion. So without wasting any time, let's get on with the first question here today. Our first question here states to define the term excretion. A simple question which requires a person to define or to to answer in a way that they should just explain what is excretion and how does it occur if he has the time, or he can explain on just what excretion is. So he can give a short outline on what is excretion. So in answering a question like this, we can say that excretion is the removal of metabolic wastes from the body. So a key term in excretion is the removal of metabolic wastes. So in excretion, wastes which are removed are metabolic, that is, they have been changed inside the body. As we all know, there are two types of metabolisms. There's anabolism and there's catabolism, whereby anabolism means the buildup of some materials or some processes, while catabolism means that the processes break down. So the breaking down process is known as catabolism, and the building process is known as anabolism. Those two are both parts of metabolism. So in any terms, any waste product produced by an action of these actions or metabolism actions is referred to as excretion. This should not be confused with egestion, whereby egestion is just the removal of undigested foods. There is no metabolic wastes in egestion. So we can say that excretion, first of all, is the removal of metabolic wastes from the body. These metabolic wastes can be either nitrogenous wastes. So the wastes can be also nitrogenous, that is, they have a nitrogen base, such as urea, in which urea, we know that urea has a main component of ammonia, and ammonia, one of the main components of ammonia is nitrogen. So it's a nitrogenous waste. So it can also be tannins, it can be caffeine, it can be nicotine. All of these have nitrogen in them. So that can be a nitrogenous waste. Or it can be even carbon dioxide from respiration. We all know that when we respire, we take in oxygen, but after its processes have finished, we remove carbon dioxide from the body. So carbon dioxide is also a metabolic waste. And sometimes it can be even sweat, as in sweat we remove mineral salts, we remove some small amount of urea, we can remove many materials through sweat. So while removing materials through sweat, we can say that we are excreting through sweat, even though it's in a minimal level. So the main types of excretion, we know that we can remove nitrogenous wastes or carbon dioxide somehow. For plants, it can be tannins, it can be caffeine, it can be nicotine, it can be latex from the flax plant, it can be anything. But we all know that also plants excrete as they produce these materials. Moving on to the second question, we are told to explain how ultrafiltration works in the kidney. So in this question, there is one term which is known as ultrafiltration. So in this question, you are required to answer or to show how does ultrafiltration work? In answering a question as a Form 3 student, you should be able to answer a question in an essay form. That is, your answers should not only be short, but the questions should be precise and written in a paragraph method. That is how a Form 3 and a Form 4 students are required to answer questions like these. Whereby, in answering a question like this, you can write it in a paragraph way, such as, ultrafiltration is the process in which large molecules such as glucose, amino acids, and some mineral salts are filtered from the blood. So we know that the removal of these materials and urea from the blood is known as ultrafiltration. This occurs in the Bowman's capsule. So the Bowman's capsule, which is found in the nephron in the kidney, is the site where ultrafiltration takes place. The Bowman's capsule is actually has two main vessels, one entering it known as the afferent vessel, and the other leaving it, which is known as the efferent vessel. But in the Bowman's capsule, there is a ball of capillaries there, which is known as the glomerulus. So in the glomerulus, that is also where ultrafiltration takes place, as it takes place inside the nephron. Ultrafiltration happens when the mixture of blood and other materials enter into the glomerulus. So inside the glomerulus, there's a certain pressure which is produced whereby the materials are automatically sorted as the pure blood leaves through the efferent vessel, while the glomerular filtrate leaves through another vessel, in which the glomerular filtrate is comprised of amino acids, urea, glucose, mineral salts, excess water. So this is what is produced after ultrafiltration. So ultrafiltration just means the filtering of the blood, in which larger molecules such as urea, such as glucose, amino acids, and so on are removed from the blood, as the capillaries in the efferent vessel allow only blood to pass, while other materials are not allowed to pass. So the pressure inside the capillaries of the glomerulus forces the particles into another substance which is known as the glomerular filtrate. So the glomerular filtrate is nothing but a mixture of urea, glucose, amino acids, and other materials which have been removed from the blood through ultrafiltration. So that is what ultrafiltration, or that's how ultrafiltration works inside the kidney. So you can answer it just like this, or you can answer it giving a more detailed answer about this, or you can even draw a small diagram of the nephron and show how does it occur, how does the glomerular filtrate, or how does the blood enter first, leaving, and the glomerular filtrate leaving, with the pure blood also leaving through the nephron. Moving on to our third question, we're told to draw a well-labeled diagram of the nephron. So a question like this is normal since Form 1, Form 2, and Form 3, and also Form 4, being required to draw a diagram which is labeled is very necessary, and a biology student should know to draw well, as a clear diagram requires or ensures a person to get more marks in it. So in answering a question like this, simply you draw a diagram in which you can see like this. This here is a diagram of the nephron found in the kidney. So in answering a diagram question, first of all, the title should be shown, that is the drawing of a nephron. Also, in labeling it, there are a few parts which should also be labeled, which is a must. First of all, we have the glomerulus, in which we have said that it's a ball of capillaries which enter, in which blood enters and is filtered inside there. Then we have the Bowman's capsule, in which this is the site for ultrafiltration to occur. We have the proximal convoluted tubules. We have the convoluted tubules which are found in two places and both sides of the loop of Henle. So first of all, we also have the ascending loop of Henle and we have the descending loop of Henle. The loop of Henle is a site in which also some selective reabsorption can occur, and sometimes some reabsorption occurs in this position. We have the distal convoluted tubules, as we have said, the other tubules, and we have the ascending loop of Henle again, and finally we have the collecting duct. So in drawing the nephron, these parts should be shown in drawing the nephron. So in answering a question like this, it's answered just like this. Also, there are a few parts which have not been shown here, but we can show it easily. That is these parts which are the efferent these parts which are the efferent and the afferent arterioles or vessels. These two parts shown in the nephron. So in answering a question like this, you should always show a clear diagram. Moving ahead to our fourth question, we are required to list the processes involved in the formation of urine. So in the formation of urine, there are a few processes until it's finally released from outside the body. So first of all, we have ultrafiltration, in which we have talked about ultrafiltration, in which the blood is filtered. So some materials such as glucose, amino acids, the larger molecules are removed from the blood, are filtered from the blood. Urea is filtered from the blood, leaving the blood pure. This occurs in the glomerulus or in the Bowman's capsule. We also have reabsorption. So in reabsorption, there are some parts, or there are some materials which are reabsorbed inside the blood. This can be water, these can be mineral salts, these can be glucose, these can be amino acids. Such important materials are reabsorbed inside the blood again. We have secretion, in which urea is then secreted, or the glomerulus, in the glomerular filtrate, urea is secreted and placed in a separate vessel. And finally, we have selective reabsorption, in which in this part some materials are selectively reabsorbed inside the blood. This can be excess water, these can be glucose, these can be amino acids. So many materials are then selectively reabsorbed inside the blood from the urea and leaving urine to leave the body. And our final question for today states that In what ways are plant excretory products useful? So a question like this requires a person to mention on the advantages of plant excretory materials. We know that plants excrete materials as they are living organisms. So these products, which are products from excretion, are very useful to other organisms, even though they are harmful to plants, but they are very useful for other organisms. So beginning, we can mention it just like this, in which first of all, oxygen produced by plants during photosynthesis is essential for living organism metabolisms. So we know that during photosynthesis, plants take in carbon dioxide but release oxygen. We all know that oxygen is very important for all living organisms. That is, as it's very important for respiration, it's very important for other materials, it's very important for many things. We also have tannins, which is used for tanning leather, is produced from tea leaves. We all know that in tanning leather there are certain chemicals which are used, such as tannin. So tannin, which is used for tanning leather, is produced for tea leaves. We also have some essential oils are used as medicine or fragrance or even food additives or spices. So there are oils which come from plants are used as these things, such as, for example, lemon oil, which is produced from leaves or the lemon or bark, eucalyptus oil, or even basil oil, which comes from basil seeds. So we can see that these oils are produced, or these oils are produced as excretory materials from plants. Some products use many drugs or use many components such as caffeine, morphine, and nicotine. These are used in beverages or as medicine. For instance, caffeine, which is a stimulant, is added in coffee and in cola drinks. So in cola drinks and coffee, we have caffeine. Also, there's a certain amount of tea or of caffeine in tea. So in tea, in drinking these beverages, a person is stimulated, as it stimulates a person's hormones. So we all know that caffeine is a very good adrenaline hormone stimulant. Morphine can be used as an anesthetic in hospitals. So in hospitals, morphine can be used as an anesthetic during operations. And nicotine can be used as a stimulant in cigarettes and cigars. So we have seen that these can be used as in medicines, these can be used as beverages, these can be used as other materials. For instance, morphine, not only as it's used in hospitals as an anesthetic, it can be also used as a recreational drugs, even though it's harmful. The same goes for nicotine, the same goes for even caffeine. And some waste matters such as latex, which is a waste from the flax plant, can be used in the making of clothes. So in making of clothes, we know that latex can be found and is a it's used in tough and waterproofing clothes. This latex is found from the flax plant. So the flax plant produces a waste materials which is then converted, or which is then made into latex, which is used in swimsuits. It can be used in many materials as a waterproofing agent. I'd like to continue to talk with you and answer these questions, but let us stop here for today. Join us next time as we will continue to dive into deeper questions brought in biology. From me here, Munir Mustafa, and to the whole staff, Thank you very much, and join us next time.